How are you feeling after that one, Sean?
Well, do you know what? On Wednesday, I had the vaccine. So yesterday, I
Is this a
was.
side effect?
Yeah, yesterday, actually was feeling quite under the weather, like a lot of people, I was feeling quite ill. So I watched it on the sofa, with a blanket, and I got more and more sick as the game went on.
I'm going to ask you the same question that Jose got asked in his post-match press conference. His answer was quite insightful, I thought. But how? How has this happened?
Well, first I want to say is that I think that they're the lowest ranked team left in the competition as of yesterday. And their biggest strength was their home crowd, which wasn't there. And somehow we lost. There's so many reasons. He always says it's attitude. And I think it was their attitude was a million miles better than ours. They deserve to go through. But and I think in a way it was what Lloris said was more interesting because he was, he didn't pull any punches. He was really brutal to, saying there was something. What did he say? He says the team reflects what's going on with the club, a lack of basics and fundamentals. And then
Wow.
also he blamed the fringe players as well by saying that the people not in the first team are not training very hard or trying. I just feel that it's just, you've got to really, the players are at fault, but really it's the manager that's got to take that team was good enough to win that match. So I think that for me, it's the end for Jose now. It's, whether he goes after the League Cup or whether he goes at the end of the season or whether he goes next Christmas, it's the beginning of the end for me. I think he's got to go.
Well, that's. We'll come back to Jose Mourinho in a second. It's interesting that Lloris mentioned the fringe players. I hadn't heard that interview, but it was 7 changes to the 11 that started against Arsenal at the weekend. Was it an element of arrogance, of kind of job done mentality going into that game that ultimately did for you?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there was probably the players thinking you just have to cruise through this, which we've done in the past. But you can blame the players and the effort, but I don't know what our attacking identity is. It doesn't look like there's a system of play. Most of our goals come from individual brilliance. Lamela scores that goal at the weekend against Arsenal, but you can't rely. Football's a team game, and normally a better team will beat a bunch of individuals, and that's what happened yesterday. I think it was the attitude, but and I'll tell you the other thing that was interesting. Once they scored the second, and our kind of the arrogance turned to panic, and it reminded me of England-Iceland, where suddenly the players just couldn't even control the ball and they were just kicking it straight to the opposition and kicking it out of touch. And it was just total blind panic. It was just so painful.
Is it pure? I mean, you say Jose Mourinho is gone, whether it's at the end of the season or after the cup game or whatever it is, he's gone. But is there more problems than that? Because I look at the way Orsic played last night for Zagreb, and every time he ran at that Spurs defence, they looked absolutely terrified. So there's a personnel issue as well, isn't there, in terms of there needs to be investment in that playing squad, whoever it is that's managing them next season.
No, you're right. I mean, there were some terrible performances. I've always been a big fan of Sanchez, but, he got worse as the game went on. Sissoko was dreadful. Aurier was poor. Winks was poor. All those goals were great finishes, but the build-up to those goals, I mean, the last one, Gareth Bale let him go. Then he actually ran through about 5 players, and there wasn't even a tackle or a barge. He was just clean through. So there's a lot of dead wood there. So I think it is a mess. It's a real mess because you've got a manager that I think is past his sell-by date, and I think you've got players there that are on big contracts that will be hard to shift. But, they always talk about the project, but I think we need a project restart, a project reset or something because, as shocking as it was yesterday, I don't think that too many Spurs fans today are totally surprised that happened.
It feels quite unanimous now that Jose Mourinho's time is done. I think he divided opinion when he came in. There was always an expectation that the style of play would be sacrificed for the trophies that you would inevitably win with Jose Mourinho at the helm. I mean, obviously the trophies haven't happened. The style of play has happened. Is it now, do you think, I mean, are there many Spurs fans that support him?
Well, I haven't really, other than being on social media, I haven't seen anyone, obviously. But from what my WhatsApp groups that I'm in and on Twitter, I think most people, I was prepared to give him a chance, like all managers, and I wanted it to work. But I just feel it's a bit like, it is, many people have said this, but it's like, George Graham was a brilliant manager. And then he wasn't. And then we got him. All managers have a shelf life, probably apart from Alex Ferguson, and we'll probably get him when he's 110. And when he's finally crap, we'll probably sign him up. But I just feel like with Jose, the game's changed tactically. It's a much more, intense, tactical, aggressive, attacking game, and I think the players have changed as well in Jose's time, and I bet those players don't like him, and I think it's a different style of manager now that the sort of the big brother, the Pep, Klopp, Pochettino style managers seem to be much more collegiate and in it together. Whereas, he didn't throw the players under the bus apart from the attitude, but he has loads of times, and that can only work for so long, can't it? And there's a reason why he is successful for a short period of time. Normally 2 or 3 years. We've had the crap bit at the end, but not the glory 2 years, which is classic Spurs. He's won trophies wherever he goes until he comes to Spurs, which is always my fear. But I think we've got a glory in our, in our sort of the Spursiness, the curse that we are as a club, and just embrace the failure.
Before I do let you go and lie down in a dark room somewhere, it's interesting you raise the Spursy thing, because it's something that I don't understand particularly, and maybe you can help me out on here, because I don't understand how this Spursiness can feel like so much part of the club's DNA when the players have churned. There's different people, there's different managers involved, but it does feel like it's something that happens again and again and again at the moment, or has happened again and again and again for the last 30 odd years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going as a season ticket for 25 years. I did go to the Gaza semi-final game against Arsenal, which was one of the greatest games of my life, greatest days of my life. But since then, I've been to, I think it's 10 FA Cup semi-finals, and we've lost them all. So, that's quite a lot. And also,
and also
the other thing as well is I remember I was also at when we were 3-0 up against 10-man Man City, I think, in the FA or League Cup, and we lost 4-3. And then I think a few years later, we were 3-0 up at half-time against Man United, and we lost 5-3 at home. And I remember both those times, that damages a team psychologically, and I think this team is quite fragile anyway. So, I can't, I'm struggling to look at the positives. I think Lo Celso came on and he got better as the game went on. And if anyone's going to create a chance, it was him. But other than that, there's not much to look forward to, I don't think. It's just, I don't know. I'm almost lost for words.
Sean, well, thank you for your time on Football Social Daily. Appreciate you coming on and chatting to us about Spurs. Hopefully it's some kind of therapy.
I think I must admit, when Jim asked me last night, I just thought, oh my God, I couldn't think anything worse. But it has been cathartic. It's been cathartic. So thanks very much. I appreciate the offer.